Mayor Pro Tem, you are live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody on Zoom and the public. Welcome to our meeting, our special meeting. It's August 27, 2020. Please, if you would, stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on the agenda is the conflict of interest statement. Is there any member of City Council, City Manager, staff have a known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda?
None.
None, Mayor Pro Tem.
None for me. Councilor Sorg? Okay,
None.
Okay, and thank you, Councilor Sorg. Staff? City Manager? Okay, seeing none?
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
there's a delay in every command I give my phone or even the computer too. Things are slow, so we have to be patient. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be patient. I have patience. Thank you, Councilor Sorg, for the reminder.
Okay, just want to let you know I'm on.
Oh, good. Okay, Mayor.
I'll
We've just begun resolutions and ordinances 2.1. Thank you, Mayor.
but I'll let you run the meeting, Mayor Pro Tem, okay? I said I'll go ahead and let you run the meeting, okay?
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
Yeah.
Point 1, resolution number 21-03. Resolution approving an adjusted quarterly financial report to the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the period ending June 30th, 2020. Ms. Damouche.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, our Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and Council. We greatly appreciate you helping us out and having this special meeting. This is going to be a tag team along with our Finance Director, Ms. Terry Gayhart. I'm going to share my screen and bring up the presentation, and she is going to be starting the presentation.
Do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I was just going to ask if there was a motion and a second.
Well, I'll do it.
Well, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution? Councilor Sorg made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Abida Stuvey.
Thank you. Second is made by Councilor Abida Stuvey. Okay, Leanne.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Terry Gayhart. She will start us off. Terry?
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem, and the councilors. We're talking about our DFA quarterly report for the period ending June 30th, 2020. Can we advance the slide? In New Mexico, the New Mexico state law mandates that the Department of Finance and Administration for the state requires periodic financial reports from local public entities. The city of Las Cruces files quarterly financial reports with the DFA local government division. Leanne? Leanne, will you advance the slide? Thank you. The DFA utilizes these reports to determine compliance with our approved budget and to determine if we have stayed within budget. The fourth quarter report indicates that we have met these criteria. Now Leanne is going to take on the balance of this presentation.
To Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, there are requirements. DFA does require us to send them along with this report as a resolution attached to it. It's the only time that we actually have to attach a resolution for a quarterly report like this. It's always done at the end of the period. We did do this just to let you know, if you're thinking, didn't we already do this? We did. We did it back in July. However, we had some issues, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But DFA has given us an extended deadline for submission for tomorrow. And that is why we've asked for this special council meeting for today. So the reason that we're actually adjusting, we're not adjusting the city's report, we're adjusting the reporting system in DFA, okay? DFA requires that, and I apologize for all the many dates in here, okay? But just sort of see if you can visualize this. DFA requires that the fourth quarter financials for FY 2020, that was last fiscal year. We're in fiscal year 21 right now. They require that the fourth quarter reporting ending balance, okay, on June the 30th matches our FY 2021 beginning balances, okay? And the fourth quarter report and our budget balances, these are all unaudited projections. We use projections. As you know, when we end the fiscal year, we actually close the year several times throughout July because we're still paying bills, we're still processing, we may have services or, we may have items that come in. We need to pay those bills because they need to show in the current year that these bills come in. So, we're evolving. We're always constantly going. This last quarter report that we did for you, we actually ran the report and sent it to DFA, of course, with the resolution, but it was run on July the 10th. Again, that was unaudited projections. Our beginning balances for our FY20, those are all projections. We do our budget, as you know. We're getting ready to start FY 2022. So all of those are the best projections that we can. We're always very, very close, I have to tell you that. But DFA, in their reporting system, they require that the ending balance matches the beginning of FY21. So what finance had to do was they had to go in there and adjust DFA's report for the fourth quarter to match the budget's FY 2021 beginning budget balances. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Gayhart, and then we'll have questions after that.
On the preliminary results, they have not changed from the report as of July 10th. Revenue for the general fund is 117 million. Expenditures are 97 million. All other funds are 260 million, and the expenditures are 241 million. And your options are to approve, deny, amend, or table.
And Mayor Pro Tem, there was one thing that I meant to add to the adjusted DFA report. I will let you know that we did budget and finance had a conversation with the Donnie Quintana, who is the DFA director. We had a very nice conversation with him. He understands that this is not the best reporting system for DFA. He realizes that there are some issues with their reporting system. He's sort of new to DFA. He came in when, of course, with the new governor. He has asked us, along with the city of Albuquerque, to be part of a work group to help them with this system. To actually, I think they're actually even considering purchasing a new system that will work for cities just like the city of Las Cruces, the city of Albuquerque, the city of Santa Fe. Actually, I think poor Mr. Quintana that day was going down a list of talking to a lot of different cities that were having the same exact issues that we were. So I just want you to know this is not typically when we had this issue in the past, we could write a letter to DFA. We would, inform council that they didn't match. But this year they have become a lot more stricter in this. He said, I realize that the system is fallible. It's not the best system in the world, but it is what it is. And so we promised that we would be taking this adjustment to council so that way they would approve our final budget for FY 2021.
Thank you, Leanne and Terry. Much appreciated. Is there any questions? Looking through the long list of participants, I don't see any questions. I have one question. When you say adjusted, what does that entail, or more specifically to this particular experience, Terry and Leanne? What did you have to adjust? Paying out the bill? I mean, tell me what that process was like.
Leanne, I think you can explain that better. What was in the adjustments?
You're on mute, Leanne.
Yeah. Hello? Leanne, you're
There. She's trying. She's trying. We all have to.
I apologize. So what happens is in their reporting system, we report our actuals, our actual revenues. We report our actual expenditures. There is a column in there that is called receivables and payables. So what they were asking us to do was they were asking us, debits, think of it as debits and credits as well, but they call them receivables and payables. So what they were asking us to do was to go into these receivables and payables to make the adjustment so that way we could see what our projected final balance was in the Q4, put that adjustment in as a receivable or a payable. So that way the bottom number matches our beginning balance for the budget. And this is only in their system, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Leanne. Okay, let's see. Ms. Abeta, or Councilor Abeta Stuvi, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I had a quick question about delivery, since there is, it looks like, a close deadline for tomorrow. What is that method of delivery to make sure that it arrives at the appropriate time?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Stuvi, great question. Their reporting system is open to us. They recently opened it so we could make these adjustments. Once this resolution is approved, all we have to do is, we've already made these changes in their reporting system. We'll be actually taking this resolution, needs to be signed by the mayor. And then tomorrow we will just upload it into their system. It's a scan.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Abeta Stuvi. I don't believe I see any other questions. Okay. Christine, please call the roll.
This is on a motion to approve Resolution 21-037. Counselor Abeta Stuvi,
Yes.
Counselor Vasquez,
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo,
Yes.
Counselor Sorg,
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Gandara,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is 2.2, resolution number 21-038, a resolution authorizing the City of Las Cruces City to accept a budget adjustment for emergency assistance for the impact from COVID-19 to various programs from the TELSHOR Facility Fund for $1,400,000 through an amendment to the city's adopted fiscal year 2020 budget. May I get a motion and a second?
So moved. Bencomo.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Bencomo and second by Councilor Vasquez. Up on the queue, Natalie Green.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gondeta, City Councilors, and City Staff. Natalie Green for the record with Community Development. The resolution before you is the approval of a budget adjustment, which will cover emergency assistance for COVID relief. Just a little background, the council has, COVID is out there, right? The state of New Mexico declared a public health emergency in early March. Since then, our council has been very responsive to the needs of the community and has approved 3 funding resolutions totaling just under 1.9 million in various resolutions. And those resolutions provided funding for direct financial assistance to the community, housing, supportive services, food and nutrition assistance. We did some mask and PPE distributions, utility assistance, and some economic development initiatives. And we all recognize that COVID continues to pose a threat to the health, safety, and well-being of the community, and there's an additional need to provide expanded supportive services. The actual budget adjustment will be a transfer from the TELSHOR Facility Fund to the Healthcare Services Fund in the amount of $1.4 million. And again, that'll provide for some critical services as a result of COVID across the Las Cruces community. The first allocation is going to be to some of our community partners. We are renewing a couple of initiatives that council previously funded and also funding some new initiatives. The first is going to be FYI. They're going to do some expanded food initiatives and a harm reduction initiative. La Casa is going to continue to support our victims of domestic violence with housing and emergency shelter. As you know, we've seen an increase in the need for those services in light of COVID. And that also goes the same for La Piñon, the sexual assault supportive service provider in our community. Casa de Peregrinos is going to be providing some food assistance. Community of Hope will continue to provide some rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, mortgage, and housing assistance. Staff is looking to develop an RFP for a homeless outreach coordinator, and that'll be funded through that. We recognize that as the financial impacts of COVID hit our community, more and more people are at risk of homelessness, and we just need an agency that can help us with that. CAA will continue to do their Thriving Families, which is a direct financial assistance program, and that helps cover things like mortgage and rent, utilities, car payments, those financial needs that many of our families in our community are faced with. We're looking in terms of new programming to partner with the Boys and Girls Club. Currently, they have a 1-to-5 ratio, and in their current facility, they can only serve 25 children. So we're looking for a new facility not a new facility, but we're looking to expand into either a city facility or another community facility and hire additional staff so we can help those families that have households that need to return to work and need assistance with either school time or childcare. And that also goes for the Child Care Assistance Program that we'll be partnering with CAA. That's a pilot program. It is new programming. The idea is to help households who need to return to work with child care assistance, and that'll help some of our local daycares. Catholic Charities will continue their COVID-19 Relief Anti-Poverty Fund. Again, that's direct financial assistance to families if they need help with housing, rent, utilities, food, so they're doing that. We've also added what we're calling a nonprofit reserve. We couldn't identify all the projects that council wants to fund, so we are going to do a small RFP for small projects through smaller agencies that aren't our regular partners. So that would be something like Loaves and Fishes or other initiatives that council was interested in funding. Again, that's going to be subject to an RFP process, and they'll have to conform with the requirements of the city. Internally, we are going to increase the Utilities Assistance Fund in the amount of $150,000. And then quality of life, we're going to support many of their mask up and community events. And then we're also going to do PPE for city employees and some rapid COVID tests. And again, that totals $1.4 million. You have your standard council options. I have some more detailed slides if council has some questions on particular programs, but I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Natalie. Much appreciated. I see Councilor Abeytes-Dube has a question, and Councilor Bencomo.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Natalie, for this. I do have a couple items that I would like to see more in depth. The first one being with FYI, with the meals and food initiatives. And what does that program look like this time around?
So it is going to be not only the mayor's meals where we do food distribution across the community, but we're also looking to do the meal voucher program. And that is a program we funded last time. It would be an expanded RFP to our local restaurants. We'll ensure that they are within city limits and that they're locally owned and operated. And their harm reduction initiatives are to assist some high-risk individuals who have been deeply affected by the pandemic. We've seen an increase in HIV and Hep C and drug use, so it would be supporting additional testing, possible syringe exchange, and AccuDetox. And I forgot to mention that many of the agencies are in the audience. If my answers aren't sufficient, they're able to provide more information.
Thank you very much. With the RFP with the local restaurants, I know we had talked about, and I don't know how this process works, but we want to make sure that we're reaching as many of our restaurants as possible, and the potential that some were able to receive stuff in the first round, but making sure that we expand enough so that kind of everybody gets a chance to have that help. And so we'll those that received an RFP in the first round be able to receive an RFP in the second.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Abeytes-Dube, that direction could come from council. If we don't want to fund agencies that have already got it, we can select new recipients. I also have some ideas on how we can outreach more through our business registration. We keep track of all the restaurants that register within the city. When it was advertised last time, I believe it was advertised through Facebook, and it did get about 16,000 views. So we can also provide, when that RFP goes out to City Council, if they would like to share at large with their own email distribution list as well.
That's great. Personally, I do think it would be wonderful to be able to help a new set of restaurants in our community to try to expand that help to other of those local businesses that are working really hard to try to remain open. The second portion with Catholic Charities, you talked about it also helping with utilities. Will their help be directed more towards like utilities, like towards El Paso Electric, or will they be offering assistance for city stuff too, since I don't want there necessarily to be like a duplication if we're able to assist in different ways, but just making sure that we're communicating well between all those different places.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Abeytes-Dube, we will notify the agency so they are aware that the city already has a utility assistance program, so that way they can assist in the other areas. I'd have to defer to utilities. I don't know if members of the public can get assistance more than once, but that's maybe where Catholic Charities would step in, is to provide additional assistance as necessary. But we will ensure that there's not a duplication.
Okay, great. And if somebody from utilities would be able to answer, if a person comes back a second time, will they be able to get assistance? Since some of those that they're facing this, it's not necessarily going away. So I suspect that they might have to have assistance for more than 1 month.
Mr. Chairman, councilors, I will have Mr. Stephen Valdez is the manager of our billing. He's been doing a very good job in managing this assistance program. So Stephen, can you explain and answer the question from the council, please?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor, Pro Team, councilors. Yes, absolutely. If a customer comes in first time to get assistance and we evaluate the account and they're asking for an assistance a second time, we do not turn them away. We evaluate the account, whatever if it would be medical, if it would be anything regarding a loss of job, anything that helps the customer get back on track, we will definitely assist them a second time. But it has to be evaluated to be sure what the reasoning for the second assistance would be.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Valdez.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. My next question is about the rapid testing. And then are we purchasing those tests? Are we purchasing to have the rapid tests? Are we working with the DOH? I'd just like to have a little bit more explanation on that portion.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Beta-Stuvi, Natalie Green, again for the record. We are going to utilize an existing contract we have with the contractor already. And so I believe city funding would help pay for those tests. But I'm going to defer to Barbara because she's more familiar with the proposal that was shared with the city.
Very good. Barbara DeLeon, Interim Assistant City Manager for the record. And with respect to the rapid testing, we're very excited that this opportunity was brought to us by our partner WorkMed, who currently helps us with our workers' comp and drug testing, some other return to work testing that's required. And they indicated to us that they had the capability of doing rapid tests, not only for the active virus, but also for antibodies. And as Natalie noted in her slide, we'll be able to have results within 2 hours of a test. This is particularly critical for our first responders and critical infrastructure workers, because the current CDC guidance is such that if they are exposed, they may not have to or be able to isolate depending on the nature of the work that they're doing. So it's even more important that we know as quickly as possible whether they are COVID positive. So we're going to prioritize the test for these categories of employees, but they will be available to all employees, again, through our WorkMed vendor. We have a current contract with WorkMed, so we can immediately start the rapid testing. And then you're going to see a new contract for WorkMed come to you on September 8th, because the current contract is expiring at the end of September. So we don't want to have a loss in the continuity of those services. So you'll be seeing that come forward as well. But yes, we do have an existing contract we can use. We're putting SOPs in place so that we can deploy this. And as soon as the budget is approved, we'll be able to start that process.
Thank you, Barbara. And then I assume by approving the funding for this, obviously then there would be no cost associated to the employee who has to get tested.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem and Councilor Beta-Stuvi, Barbara DeLeon for the record. There is a cost for the test. The city will be bearing the cost. And then this is an eligible expense for reimbursement as well, from both FEMA and the CARES grant. So we're going to be tracking it very carefully so that we can get reimbursed for these expenditures, but there will not be a cost that will be borne by the employee.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I just want to say, I know it's something that I've talked with Interim Manager David Maestas about, but I'm very happy to see the child care assistance on here. I know that it's been very hard for parents to balance everything and having kids home. And some days it feels unmanageable. And it is very much so for a lot of these families that are trying to work, teach their kids, and they don't have the resources to be able to pay for childcare or nannies or private schools. That is very difficult, or they have medically fragile children that can't be put in those types of situations. So I'm very glad that we're going to see the help here. Is there a certain way that we're going to kind of let the public know about this assistance? What type of outreach are we going to do for this one?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Beitas-Duvy, we will work with Community Action Agency to advertise with the public. We have not worked out the specific logistics of how that's going to work. Again, all of these allocations will require additional contract amendments. So as we work through those contracts, we'll sort of work out the nuances and those finer details. But we'll keep council apprised of when those initiatives roll out. So again, that way you can advertise and then we can do some advertising on our end.
Thank you, Natalie. And thank you to all of the city staff for working to put these initiatives together. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Beitas-Duvy. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And yes, thanks to Councilor Beitas-Duvy. Those were great questions. A couple of mine asked as well. And thanks to all the community organizations here with us today. Thanks for I know you're very busy right now, so thanks for joining us. And thanks, Natalie, for that presentation. Yeah, so I also actually want to sort of second and agree with Councilor Beitas-Duvy regarding the restaurant through the FYI program, through the meals program. I would personally like to see this second round of those vouchers be that we partner with a new set of restaurants. And so I appreciate also the new guidelines, Natalie, in terms of city limits. I think there was one other one. I think, making sure those continue, but then yes, I'd like to see a whole new set of restaurants, and then just to be diligent in terms of restaurants that have more than one location, that those still count as one restaurant and not two separate restaurants. I think that, I think it covers more ground for what we're intending to do, which is support some local businesses. So I don't know, does that need to have some sort of official amendment, or is it just direction?
Councilor Bencomo, this is Ken. So yes, we're going to need an amendment to that, and as to what it is that you would like to do, and amendment to the motion to change the lineup, I guess you could say.
Mayor, I saw Natalie shaking her head.
Oh, what'd she say?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo. So the resolution before you is just an approval of the budget adjustment to fund these activities. So we won't need an official amendment, but staff did take notation, and we'll work that and ensure it's in the contract with the agency when we provide the funding.
Oh, great.
Great. Thank you both. And then just for my own clarification, so Natalie, you mentioned that up to now, the city had provided about $1.9 million in funds from the TELSHOR fund, right? Is that what you said?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, it's 1.8 from the TELSHOR fund, but council may remember that they provided an additional allocation to economic development initiatives out of the general fund.
Yes.
So altogether, it would be about just under 1.9.
Okay. And then this new set of funds is coming from the recent application to the state from CARES funding?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, Natalie Green, again for the record. I don't know if Amy Bassford or City Manager's office is on the line. I believe that they applied to the State CARES Act to be reimbursed. I'm not sure. The city will bear the cost if it's not reimbursed, I believe.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, I saw Leanne raise her hand, or David.
Yeah, David did. So David?
Thank you, David Maestas, Interim City Manager. Councilor Bencomo, I will defer to Leanne afterwards if she has anything to add. We do have staff from the grants office in the meeting, Aaron Sherratt, who's been looking and working on our CARES Act potentials. This funding, the authorization that council will approve today will be funding from the TELSHOR fund. However, everything that is reimbursable, we will reach out for, and we will try to get every funding availability from the state that we can get and from the federal government. And if we do get money that reimburses what's been approved here, as well as previous authorizations from the TELSHOR fund, then we will reimburse the TELSHOR fund.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification, David. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And then Natalie, can you go to the slide with all the organizations listed? I think you had one like that.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, I don't know if it was this one. This one is all the agencies that we previously provided funding to. It does not include the new agencies that we're providing funding.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. So I just want to make sure that, just to reiterate, I just want to make sure that these agencies and some of the new ones from this second round, that all of these are, these funds will be available for undocumented folks as well. There is no necessarily Social Security requirement to get any of these funds.
Counselor, I don't believe that that's allowable. I don't think that was the case the first time, and I think that some of these, the amounts that went out, like for example, from the community foundation, there were some private donors, and I think that's what they were using to give those that were undocumented. I don't believe we're allowed to do this. I'll let Natalie jump in, but that was my understanding.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, the city has a directive on serving non-national citizens, and we can serve undocumented individuals when it is in the interest to protect life and safety. So many of these initiatives fall within that exception, especially the food, the sexual assault services, our domestic violence services. So they can be served by many of these agencies. And then if they're not necessarily served with our funding, they are still served by the agencies with their own funding.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, for that. I appreciate that. I was also very happy to see the new childcare options available. I've had several calls about some of that. I'm curious about, I think you mentioned two, right? The Boys and Girls Club and then Community Action Agency. I know, of course, all the limits, but what's the capacity for each of those to be, like, approximately how many kids will they be able to see, how many families will be able to be served through some of these childcare funds?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, we are still working that out. A lot of it depends. In Boys and Girls Club case is if we can find another facility. We're also awaiting the governor's directive today to see if she will allow them to increase their ratios. Because right now they're at a 1-to-5 ratio. So for every staff member, they can only serve 5 children, and they have to be at like separate ends of the building. With CAA, again, it's going to depend on, we did an average cost of daycare costs, so we haven't worked out how many can be assisted. We think it's, if we do 6 weeks of assistance, it'll be about 100 households. If we do 12 weeks of assistance, it's 50 households.
Okay.
Again, on an average of what daycare costs were. I don't know if they're still about 125 a week.
Okay. Yeah, that's so tough to hear, right? I feel for so many families that don't have a lot of options right now. So I'm glad that this is, that we're doing this. I hope that we can support these organizations in expanding as much as possible. In terms of the building for Boys and Girls Club, is the city looking for the building and then the city will lease, rent out? How does that work?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, I'm going to defer to David Dallahan since I saw him turn on his camera. But before I do, Boys and Girls Club is still evaluating. It would be easier to provide one of our own buildings since those are in our control. They have approached the schools, but the schools were hesitant to offer up their gymnasium because if it's safe for Boys and Girls Club, then shouldn't it be safe for children who are going to school? So they're really hesitant about what that message would be. But again, I'll defer to Mr. Dallahan.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, that's still to be figured out. We are waiting on the revised public health order because that also affects city facilities and city programs. Parks and Rec has restarted some of their programs, but again, because of public health orders, they're limited on size. So we're going to have to work together with both Parks and Rec and the public schools and with Boys and Girls Club as to find the right place. We have city needs already in place that still serve the community on a regular basis that we're looking at. I just had a discussion this morning with Parks and Rec Director Sonia Delgado about trying to get into the schools. The schools have taken the position that the governor's public health order has essentially prohibited them from allowing people in the building, so they're not allowing us into the building. We are evaluating other mechanisms for us as well to expand our programs, including the potential for childcare licensing. I need to discuss that with city management. So those are all things we're going to have to figure out as to where and what we can do. The schools would be the ideal situation, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we'll have to work all these out. Everybody's in the same boat. We're trying to figure out how many people we can serve to the maximum potential and still comply with the gathering requirements, the spacing and staffing requirements. More to come. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. I look forward to those updates on that. In terms of childcare for city staff specifically, I've noticed that a lot of city staff are I think they're still home. David, I think you're home. Natalie, maybe you as well. I'm not sure. No, Jesus. I'm curious about the support that city staff across all departments are getting in terms of childcare and, you know, what that looks like.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, we're still working on that. I'm not in a childcare situation. I don't have children at home other than the fur babies, as they can disrupt a meeting. But we're trying to accommodate staff as much as possible. We have extended to them the federal requirements of extended FMLA, or no, emergency FMLA extension. We still have staff who are working on that for both, who are under that protection for both childcare and school care for their children. Some of the staff are doing remote work and that, so they're splitting time. So we are still we're obligated to accommodate them, and we are still doing so. I'm not aware. I think we'd have to survey those staff persons that are having childcare situations. I know Natalie and I were in a discussion the other day, and she was coming in late because of getting school started and so forth before she made it into the office, and doing some homeschooling activities. So each person and household situation is unique, and we're trying to be as accommodating as possible. That doesn't mean that there aren't holes that we couldn't try to fill, but I can't speak. That would be an assumption on my part and purely anecdotal.
Okay, thanks, David. And maybe this is for Mr. Maestas. I would personally love to see some sort of survey be done, and so that we can understand how city staff are handling some of their childcare needs as well. And so, you know, we can talk that offline for sure, but I think that that's something, to me, as we're having this conversation, as much as we can do to support city staff in this situation, particularly around childcare, I think we should explore those options. Let's see. I had another question about the nonprofit reserves. Natalie, is that 75,000 total, or is 75,000 per RFP?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, it would be total, so we're looking to do some small grants.
Okay.
Probably about 10,000, 10 to 15,000. Again, every grant that we give to an outside agency does present an administrative burden to staff because it requires the same contracting as a $200,000 contract.
Right.
So we're still working to flush that out. Those agencies will have to demonstrate their fiscal and organizational capacity to meet our insurance requirements, our audit requirements, and be able to survive on reimbursement. So again, we don't pay those funds up front. They expend the funds and then bill us.
Okay.
Pay them.
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Bencomo, I would offer if we saw a brilliant proposal to serve a need that exceeded that, we could always, because 75,000 is our the city manager's contracting limit, we could always bring that contract to city council for approval and at the same time address any funding shortfall that we may have. That's not our desire. It does take time to move money out the door, and as Natalie said, the administrative components and getting it under contract, but that is an option to us depending on what is proposed or submitted from the community. And if we feel like there's a great need and it's addressing a great need, then we have options available to us, and we can get it to council in relatively short order.
No, that makes sense. I think this is a really great idea. I mean, not all organizations have the capacity either, right, to get the kind of funds that perhaps FYI or CAA are able to get and then distribute out. I'm thinking of fishes and loaves and fishes. You know what I mean? And then like El Calvario, some of those organizations that have smaller capacity but that are having just as much of an impact, right? So that's really good. My last question is around, I know last round we partnered with the schools to provide Wi-Fi and like internet services, particularly for kids or households that were low income. Have we revisited that conversation? Do the schools still need that support? I mean, I definitely fear for the students that, that there's going to be an even wider educational gap at the end of COVID with low-income kids, low-income families who don't necessarily have access to good internet, potentially more than one computer. I think the schools are trying to give out some technology, right? But have we gone back to LCPS and had a conversation with them about what kind of support they need from us?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, I'm going to defer to, I believe, Alfredo or Barbara. When we last spoke with the schools, we were waiting. We executed the contract and we were providing the funding in FY 2021 because I believe Comcast was giving free internet until the end of September. So I will defer to them.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem and Councilor Bencomo, Barbara DeLeon for the record. So the contract that we just executed with the school actually goes through October of 2020. So it was a contract for July through October. And we can definitely revisit with them. I know that the needs are evolving and we certainly need to stay in touch to understand what additional support they may need. But we just entered into a July through October contract, but we will make outreach.
Thank you, Barbara. And that's it. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem.
I think David had a comment. David? Oh, well, I guess not.
That's okay, Mayor. David, Interim City Manager. I was in discussions with Dr. Karen Trujillo recently too, and the main area of focus that we had in that discussion here recently was their resource officers. So that is another area where the city is working with them to assist at this time, because if any of you read in the newspaper, it's been difficult for the school board and the surrounding communities with respect to school not being in session, but still needing to have resource officers available. So we did work with them on that to help assist with the situation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Sword?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you all that have been presenting here. And also, I want to show my agreement with Councilors Abeyta-Stube and Como. They are asking many of the same questions. Plus, I would like to ask, and plus many more. And it's good to have two experts in this field here on our council to help us understand all these things. Issue that was mentioned, that we have new restaurants in this go around. But I wanted to ask if anybody on staff or on the council knows whether or not El Paso Electric has a utility payment assistance to its customers. Toss the question.
Mayor, Councilor Sorg, they do have, it's not with El Paso Electric, but it is LIHEAP, and that helps cover electric bills. I don't know if Lynn, since she worked for the Department of Health, might know more about that. I believe it's run through them.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Sorg, it's LIHEAP and it's administered through the Department of Human Services for the state of New Mexico.
Okay.
I don't believe they have a specific program in New Mexico. I have seen advertisement in their Texas program that they have a direct program for assistance in El Paso.
Okay, thank you.
But in New Mexico, it's incumbent on state agency assistance.
Councilor Sorg, was that it? Councilor Sorg, were you finished?
Gotcha. Okay. And then question, no, why would I be finished?
I
have one more
sure, go ahead.
question, and that is the rapid test that you were talking about. I wondered if that is a saliva test, Natalie. Or Barbara.
Councilor
Barbara.
Councilor Sorg, let me review my notes. And if Barbara knows the answers, maybe she can jump in before I do.
Mayor Pro Tem and Councilor Sorg, I'm reviewing the same documentation that was provided to me by our risk manager, Carl Conley, but I do not know if it's a saliva test, Councilor Sorg. So I will have to follow up with that.
Okay.
I'm assuming that it is not, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay, because I know that the saliva test is very fast. It's within an hour or two you can get the results. That's why when you said that.
Good question. Yes, so I'll get that information for you.
Okay.
All. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then the last comment, all I wanted to do is make is that I'm glad Aaron Sherrod is working on this. I know he'll do a good job. Congratulations that he is part of our staff and doing this work. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the whole council.
Okay, and next we go to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Natalie. And again, everybody else that has spoken. Councilor Bencomo, Councilor Stube had excellent questions and feedback. Basically, I wanted to ask about the child care assistance. I'm assuming that's going to go through CAA, but I want to encourage the linkages made through the Success Partnership Engage. You know, they're doing some remarkable work with early ed and kind of childcare assistance. I'm a little concerned that we are already stressing a system that really for a decade or so doesn't have the necessary programming in terms of the quantity. We've always been lacking in that. So I know that Lori Martinez and I think I saw Dawn on the line. I'm sure that they know each other and have had lots of conversations, and so just wanted to make mention. And I'm certainly with the idea of the survey for the city, but also for staff, I think it's so important. And I love and often have advocated for the possibilities of offering childcare assistance in our office, right, in the main office, you know, remodeling a place at City Hall that people can bring their kiddos to. You know, lots of surveying and data that shows, you know, productivity just increases quite a bit. So I'm with Councilor Bencomo on the idea of surveying our staff. I think it's really important that we do that. I wanted to ask specifically about also from FYI, the harm reduction services, will those be with for adults as well? And also I'll stop there so someone can answer that.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to defer to FYI. I believe it is Ms. Fierro, if she can answer more specific questions.
Well, I think Brian Kavanaugh is here also, but.
Good afternoon.
This is Jolene Martinez. I'm the COO from Families and Youth Incorporated. Ms. Fierro is out on leave today, so I'm here to speak in her place. To answer that question, all our syringe services and prevention services are for adults. And so I believe we have maybe 1 or 2 children that come and seek needle exchange services, and we don't turn them away, but generally involve their adult parents for consent in that exchange. But all our harm reduction services are offered to adults.
Can I interrupt real quick? Looks like Jennifer raised her hand. Jennifer Vega Brown. Did you have something you needed to add, Jennifer?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just got an answer from Carl about the rapid test. It is a blood test. It's just a small pinprick and it's a blood test, not a saliva test.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that, Jolene.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Appreciate that clarification. I also know that you've been working on some program or project as everything is moving into using telehealth, virtual, that many of our adult clients or citizens don't have the opportunity in their home because of technology or spacing to be able to have a one-on-one with a counselor. Again, I'm deeply concerned about the ability or inability for all of us to provide consistent counseling services. Is there anything that you're doing, since I have you on the line? It doesn't seem like it's part of this particular initiative that we might be able to help you with moving forward.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Candara, for the question. Right now, what we're doing is adapting pretty much every service that we deliver in the organization and transforming it not just for current COVID adaptations, but the anticipation of the long-lasting impacts that it'll have on the behavioral health and mental health system. We are looking at some basic infrastructural changes and equipment technology adaptations, but certainly for the sustainability of those things could use any support that we might be able to garner from the council or from the city. We certainly are planning for it as much as we can and looking to expand our services and especially our service identity. Historically, we've been known as a child and youth serving organization, and we really want to continue to expand the community's knowledge on the adult services that we provide and all the different continuum services that we provide. So thank you for the question, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, everybody knows that one of my focus has been on behavioral health, and as I continue to, all of us, right, as we respond to this COVID pandemic, it continues to be something of a concern. There's, our suicide rates are up. there are, I don't have to remind you the violence that we have had in the last month or two with very young people being victims and or perpetrating violence. We all have a huge role in play a huge role in responsibility in that. And I want to make sure, especially now via COVID, that we're providing the necessary resources to these our community partners to make sure that people know. And again, I thank you, Councillor Abeta Stupi, for I think outreach is going to be so important, and especially using the social media platforms as well. And so, when you have everything sort of situated in terms of the kinds of services, I would really like us to partner with our PIO to get not only our social media platforms, but radio and print. I think being able to say just how many, the kind of response council has had, the numbers of folks that we have actually touched and helped, it is no easy thing. And so I want to make sure that the staff city is getting, the kudos that I think is so very important. Lastly, Natalie, I haven't heard too much about Doña Ana Communities United, and sort of, I don't see them on this round but the last time I asked, they were sort of gearing up, and I haven't heard much about what they've been able to do. I think it's important to make mention of that. And then with the partnership we've had with Cruces Creatives, sort of what they've been able to do around mass. You could just give us a brief rundown of those two.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. So it's been a while since I've talked to both agencies. I did not include them in this round of funding because they still had existing funding. So until they exhaust those funds, staff didn't feel there was a need to provide additional funding. I will follow up with them and get you something within the next couple days.
That'll be great. Thank you.
DACU did have, last I checked with them, about 20 to 30 matches, and it's been a successful pilot program for them.
Yeah, I know it's such a remarkable resource that is sort of a hidden treasure, and I think being able to highlight what they've been able to do, especially during COVID. Again, I continue to be concerned about people in isolation, especially our elderly that don't quite meet some of the guidelines for our senior services. So I know I said lastly, but finally, I do want to ask about any particular funding related to economic recovery. I know that I've been in several meetings with Economic Policy Review Committee and our Economic Recovery Board. And I know that they're doing some really awesome things like helping businesses pivot to be more e-commerce or getting sort of the technical assistance, giving out technical assistance to these small businesses that need to get more web, a web design, a web page, those kinds of things. I didn't see anything here, and I don't want to forget about our small businesses, not just only for the RFP for the local restaurants, for meals and such, but if there is a space here to be able to highlight, maybe giving additional funding to assist in that, I think is so important. I believe that was a partnership that was occurring with the city and Arrowhead.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, Generally, those type of initiatives are not going to come out of the TELSHOR fund because it goes into the healthcare fund and it's tied to that specific definition that was adopted by council. So economic development funds that comply with the anti-donation would be funded out of the general fund. Council did do a small allocation, and I believe Francisco is on the line, or maybe Griselda could give an update on that. I also want to note, and Aaron may be able to provide more information, but they did apply to the State CARES Act to do business SBA, small business assistance, and they could provide more information on that. So I will defer to either of them if you would like more information.
Dr. Payadas, you there?
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, thank you very much, Natalie. Yes, just as a very quick update of some of the initiatives that the department has been undertaking, and I think that the program that you're referring to, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, is a partnership that we did with the Arrowhead Center to create a business accelerator that would be dedicated completely at businesses in Las Cruces, called the BizSprint. And yes, they are currently in the search for the second cohort of businesses. The first cohort was completely full. The second cohort is right now in the portions of going after some of those businesses that will benefit. And again, this is complete mentorship to going to finding your marketing strategy, knowing who to speak to, well, a complete mentorship for business development, as well as some component in the extra 3 weeks that this course lasts for going in e-commerce. Another thing that we were mentioning, and we are in the process currently working through our administrative process to engage in another agreement also with the Arrowhead Center so that businesses can be assisted for their social media. Especially right now, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, you know that businesses have been struggling, or they have to be pivoting so that they can capture some of the customers that they could not previously capture. Some of the discussions that we have with some of the partners, specifically with the Green Chamber of Commerce, among some of the other partners, is that some of these businesses have no idea how to approach that specific market. So what we are planning to do, and we're dedicating some funds to that, is to assisting 72 businesses so that some students can be trained so that they can assist some of these businesses in, of course, having the backing of the Arrowhead Center so that they train them in the proper manner, so that they teach them all they have to do with how to sending their product through Facebook, how to connect to customers through Facebook or through Instagram, and through some of the other ways in which they can approach to this. The fundings that we had are for 72 businesses. That's another one of the approach. Another one of the things that we worked is the LIVE Fund, which was the one that Natalie was referring to. And they are currently, right now, already teaching some of the courses that are very, very helpful. Just as a very quick example, in one of the meetings that they had, in one of the earlier meetings, was the top 5 people you have to speak with immediately as a business owner as soon as the pandemic started. You have to have contacted your landlord, you have to have contacted your banker, you have to have contacted, and they ask questions. How many of you have contacted these 5 people? Some of the businesses did not even knew that they could contact their landlord to see if they could schedule some payments or something like that. So we are assisting businesses in providing lots of this information. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and any funding will be very welcome to continue some of these efforts and assisting them. So those are just some of the things that we have been working on, along with all the other stuff, the e-blasts, connecting them to some other funding sources. Another item, and I think Natalie mentioned upon this, is that we are applying for the CARES Act for the business continuity grant. And we're still pending on receiving the news from the state. Let's cross our fingers that there's good news and to the request that we had. But that's some of the information that we have for right now, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Dr. Payadas. I appreciate that. Just really exciting. Thank you for all your work. I do want to encourage council and administration, our city manager working with Jennifer Vega Brown. I know that we're worried about this anti-donation, and I of course we need to, and I'm all for making sure we're following that and not breaking that. But many of these businesses could fall under low income, find themselves near homeless, and so they could qualify for some of these other services. So what I just want to encourage Dr. Bayat is making sure that our business, through our business registrations, that they're aware of these particular nonprofits that could help provide the services, both of course in English and in Spanish. I think that is really important. But I think when we talk about not mixing, the TELSHOR fund with the businesses, I think we could look at this in a different way and help these folks, because they are individually citizens of our community that are struggling. Some have put it's their livelihood, right? They put all of their resources in and now have found themselves in a real predicament, just losing their livelihood, their business, their home, those kinds of things. So I know that we have to worry about the anti-donation, but I think there's a way that we could, really look at this TELSHOR fund to assist them on an individual basis. And so I appreciate it, Dr. Bayat, and thank you, Natalie, for all your work and for everybody on the call.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. See if I'm on, yeah. And let's see who's next. Councilor Beta Stubbe.
Thank you, Mayor. I had kind of a follow-up question, but Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Gondra touched on it with us being able to track kind of the first round of money that we gave. I know that at the city and with our community partners, we've been working on large scale. And if we have a member from even like Casa de Peregrinos, the amount of meals and food they've been able to deliver with this type of funding that we've been given. And I'd love to be able to see even like a one-pager that we can use for transparency to show the community, this is how this money has been spent. This is the quantity of people that we've been able to reach, because I think that's really important. And even here at the city too, with our quality of life department, our senior meals, and that type of programming, I just know that we're working in very large quantities, and I'd love to be able to show something with that.
Good idea. So you'd like to have that as a future document?
Yes, I think that'd be nice to have. Yeah. And if we do have, if there is anybody on the call today that could give us a couple of those numbers just for us to know now, and for anybody listening, I think that'd be a good idea as well.
No takers. So let's just look for a future document then.
I can chime in if you wouldn't mind. This is Ken from Catholic Charities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to, for the record, to the mayor and Councilor Beta Stubbe, I wanted to thank the council for their generosity in helping these agencies, our agencies, to support the people that are affected by the pandemic. We were able to support 94 families. The average assistance was about $662 per family. We have many clients who what we call are mixed status families. And so many of them are ineligible to receive federal stimulus checks, to receive anything, unemployment benefits, or any of the benefits related to the CARES Act. So much of the money that we gave away really was impactful. We gave a large sum of money to individuals that were in need of food assistance. What we were finding is as the food prices rose here in Las Cruces, many families were traveling to El Paso to find cheaper sources of food, but unfortunately they were getting sick and coming back into our community. So we were providing a lot of assistance to families that had the virus, that were getting the virus. We also provided a lot of support to migrant families that were working in the fields. Particularly, they were very concerned about going back into the fields because of the virus. So we were able to provide some protective gear for them. And so there was a whole gamut of folks that we helped. lot of what we did is rent and mortgage assistance. And some of these people were desperate because they weren't receiving any of the federal stimulus money or anything. So the money that we got, that you allotted to us, I believe made a great impact for all members of the community. So I wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Okay, but I'm sure, Councilor Beta-Stuvey, I'm sure staff can put something together in the next few weeks and be able to send that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Councilor Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to my fellow councilors for their wonderful questions. Just a couple things on my end. First, I think completely agree with having a new round of participants in our food assistance program from our local small business restaurant community participating this go around. And however we can make sure that that happens, I think we absolutely should. I did want to throw in another addition. I know I think some of the conditions were locally owned and within city limits, but I talked about this before, and I think, I really think we should exclude franchises from this particular relief fund. As I mentioned prior, the cost of entry to a typical franchise for fast food or national restaurant is anywhere between $600,000 to $1 million. And so although many of those are locally owned, I prefer to focus these funds on the folks who may not have the resources for the cost of entry for a franchise. And so I would like to exclude also franchises, locally owned franchises, from this particular round of funding, because the folks that are really struggling are those mom and pop shops that are trying to make things work and probably didn't have the ability or the resources to even add patio dining or some of the other investments that it required for some of these businesses to stay afloat during COVID. And so I would like to see that. And I would like a follow-up on that as well, just to make sure that we're all in line, and perhaps that can come from FYI whenever they come up with their outreach plan or the conditions to which they distribute these meal vouchers. It would be great to get an email with that document or with that plan, just to make sure that we're all on the same page if this is the direction that council wants to move in. Secondly, I think absolutely support the idea of a staff survey. With as many employees as the city has, I think we're kind of like a little microcosm of the workforce at large in the city. And so understanding what the issues are within our own staff, whether it's childcare, whether it's loss of income, from a family standpoint, from a spouse or another head of household or another person in the house, or any number of issues related to COVID healthcare costs. I think a survey of our staff that lets us know what some of the issues are related to being able to get back to work will tell us a lot about the city at large in terms of what the needs are, in addition to what our staff's needs are. So I would love to see that survey as well, perhaps presented at a future work session or something similar. Lastly, I just want to thank staff for being on their toes on this. I know this is obviously another curveball that we've been thrown, and so I'm very proud of the work that the city's been able to do to get us to where we are, in lieu of not receiving the federal funding that some of the bigger cities have received. I think we've done a pretty good job of responding to the needs in our community once again. But would also like to see the data and the metrics that Councilor Beta-Stuvey mentioned as well, to justify, not necessarily to justify, but just to make sure that we're on the right track in terms of where we're allocating funds. It would have been great to get an update from all of the previous funds that were used, and have perhaps organizations present on how the funds were used, how many people were served, the type of impacts it had in our community. I think this would have been the right meeting to have that information present, so that we could have made better decision or a more informed decision when it comes to re-upping some of this help that we're providing in the community. I don't doubt that the respective organizations and our community partners are doing their job, but just seeing what the impact is, I think just would have just been a good thing to have today, and might have actually let us know where more resources are needed. If certain funds got exhausted faster than others, for example, we could have said, hey, let's make sure we budget more for this or for that. So something I look forward to seeing as well, as Councilor Abate-Stuby mentioned, perhaps in a document that comes to the council later. And I think that's all for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Mayor Pro Tem, you have a comment?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate Councilor Vasquez saying that. I think data is really important. I'm worried that we've lost in the sense of community foundation, not just unable to, right, didn't have the capacity with the funding to piggyback on the funding that they were receiving from the community. And so I'm a bit challenged because I think that money was used wisely, and they had, I think, a great system. But I'm wondering who is picking up that sort of service in terms of case managing, right? Managing people that are coming in that need, rent relief, mortgage relief, or whatever else. And I'm not sure if there's been a discussion. I know I had a discussion with the Community Foundation, Ms. Winters, and they're just not on, they just don't have the capacity to move forward. So I would like to see an entity sort of pick that up and along those same lines. I think there's many businesses that are struggling to fill out forms, apply for CARES Act. And so I've often have felt if we could partner with some of these organizations, maybe I don't know, but that could help sort of help people, fill out those forms that can get sometimes really difficult to do. And maybe we'd see smaller businesses be able to get some of the much needed funding. So again, just worried about a central location in some organization helping manage. And I think the nonprofits are doing, what they do specifically, maybe for their clients and maybe other clients. But I'm not sure if there's an entity similar to that, Natalie, that help sort of streamline some of this funding as well. Thanks, Mayor.
Natalie, do you want to respond to that?
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, we did double Catholic Charities allocation to account for Community Foundation not being able to assist us this time, and CAA also helps fill that with their Thriving Families program.
Good.
That's good. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. And Natalie, I guess the RFP for these mini grants, what is your time frame? How quickly can we get that out? I think, again, time is of essence. So do you have an idea of what that time frame will look like for that particular area?
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, not at this time. Again, we were just trying to get the resolution passed first, and then we'll start working on that development process. We'll probably manage it similar to our other RFPs, and those do not take a substantial amount of time. So it could be anywhere from a couple weeks to maybe a month.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Vasquez, did you have another question, or did you just forget to put your hand down?
Yes, Mayor, just forgot to put my hand down. I'll do that now. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, well, great. Well, as was mentioned by Councilor Vasquez, I want to just take a moment to thank staff for their very thorough. This was a very good list that you put together, and really comprehensive, and we really appreciate it very much. Okay, so if there's nothing further, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 21-038. Counselor Beta-Stuvi?
Yes.
Counselor Vasquez?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Sorg?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, before we adjourn, got some bittersweet news for you all. I'm sure you all heard that close to almost after 31 years, this individual this has decided to retire. I don't know why, but I know he loves his job, and he's done a fantastic job for us here at the City of Las Cruces, and that's none other than Dr. Jorge Garcia, our Director of Utilities. So, Dr. Garcia, this is your last official meeting, although we may have one more time to say farewell, but this is the official meeting, and I think many of the council members would like to say something. And I just want to tell you thanks for all the years that we've worked together, and you've just been a fantastic director. I have to share something with council. After Robert retired and before we embarked on our journey for city manager, I reached out to Dr. Garcia because I knew he could run the city easily, and he probably knew it too, but he loved utilities, and he says, you know, I really would like that opportunity, but utilities is his baby, and he just wanted to do that. And so he's done such a fantastic job. I'm sure you all know that. It's taken our utility department from what it was back when he started to what it is today. Probably he sought after advice throughout the state. They always recognize him. Attorney General calls for him. Everybody calls for him. So Dr. Garcia, thank you very much for your years of service to the city. We can't thank you enough for all the things that you've done. You've expanded our water system. You've got it to the point where our fire department is ranked ISO #1, which is only 98, almost 100 fire stations. Of all the fire stations in the United States, only 100 of them have that ranking, and a lot of it is because of our water system, our water pressure. You've developed that water reclamation plant that saves 1 million gallons of fresh drinking water a day, and just on and on and on. The list is just, we'd be here till 3 o'clock. But anyways, I just want to tell you thank you for all your service.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to say something?
I would. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Garcia, for all your years of service. I have learned an immense amount from you and your staff. You run a great department. I wish you well, and don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Exactly. Councilor Sorg.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also want to add my thanks to Dr. Garcia. He's just like you said, he's an awesome person in the first place, and he runs this utilities first class. We in the council board of commissioners of the utilities gave him a nice proclamation with all of us signing on it too, and it was I've never seen one like that given to anyone else in the city before. So he's special. He's very special, no doubt. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. While you mention it, before I get to Councilor Bencomo, while you mention it, years ago, it was City Council used to just do the rate increases on water and gas and such. And Dr. Garcia I remember when he brought that proposal, I don't know how many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, to develop a commission, and what you're talking about, Councilor, a commission made up of 2 or 3 members of the public. Granted, they wanted to have a little bit of certain type of knowledge. I mean, it doesn't have to be didn't have to be utilities knowledge, but and that allowed people from the public, not elected officials, just people from the public, to sit on this commission to hear why the city needed to do increases. And so that he was really the pioneer in allowing public input, because this was real public input. You take them from the public, and they sit on this board, and they challenge whether or not the city needs to go forward with any rate increases. And when And when you got them involved, I mean, they could easily say, no, we don't believe that. But no, they decided to move forward. And I think that's really a great way to involve the public and let them know that, hey, we have nothing to hide here. This is why these rate increases need to be done. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Dr. Garcia. Oh my gosh, what can I say? I mean, I've only been here 8 months, but I feel so incredibly honored to have served on the utilities board and continue to, because it allowed me to work with you closer. I think my role on the utilities board is probably one of my favorite roles as a city councilor. And I think a big part of that is, for sure, I know a big part of that is you and the team that you've built. I mean, Dr. Garcia, you're just completely brilliant, and I think this is a huge loss to us. But I'm very confident in the team that you have. I think your leadership, the fact that you show a passion and love for your job, and so does your team. I think that really that comes through because of your leadership, and I'm very excited to see what comes next for you, and I'm excited to continue serving on the utilities board. But mil gracias por todo, and I wish you the best of luck.
I don't think Dr. Garcia understands Spanish, so did you want to? No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. Councilor Vasquez. Councilor Vasquez. Okay, well, we'll go to Councilor Beda-Stuvi and then come back to Councilor Vasquez if he's. Councilor Beda-Stuvi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Garcia, for all the work and care and heart that you put into this community and into our city. Yes, I know we only got to be introduced a while ago, but I was so impressed with you, with your team, with the quality and care of service that you delivered to our community. And I guess I'm going to just echo what everybody else said, but you are brilliant. You have a great heart, and I'm very excited that you get to take some time for yourself now, hopefully. But I have a feeling that people are still going to be calling you up for a while, asking for advice and all sorts of things. So congratulations, and you will be missed. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Vasquez, are you there? Hello? Okay, well, he may have stepped out, so. All right, well, I know he thinks the world of you also, Dr. Garcia, and we appreciate it again, so. All right, if there's nothing further, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you just had your hand up.
Could I? I just remembered it. I forget the first year or two I was on the council and the commission both. I remember asking him what a bolson is. I never heard of the word bolson before. And I know what water well is, and I had my own Montana, but he sat me down, and for about an hour or two, he explained how the wells work in Las Cruces, what a bolson is, and he went in great detail. I'll never forget that. It was awesome how much he could explain it to me and understand it too very easily. So there we go.
Very good. Councilor Bencomo, do you have another comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, before we end, I'd love to hear from Dr. Garcia. Is that possible?
Oh, yeah, sure. Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, thank you for the kind comments. I want to thank you for the continued support for our utility services. You know, our 300 employees need the support of both the utility board and the city council. An example is today, you approved additional funding for the utility assistance program through a different funding source, and you also approved the rate reviews and the rate changes in solid waste so that we can continue to do our job. I think it's critical for both the utility board and the council to understand that we don't get any tax money. So our job is to make sure that our rates cover all of our expenses. And so thank you for this utility assistance program, because that allows us to be on schedule on our rate reviews, and we finished solid waste. You approved that July 20th. So that's an example of the support we need to continue this healthy utility enterprise funds. So our utility leadership is strong with Ms. Walsh, Assistant Director Walsh, and the Deputy Director. So I'm very confident that they will continue to deliver the quality services. So I'm very comfortable with leaving at this stage. And you're right. I will probably come and visit the utility and check on things once in a while. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Mayor.
Well, you're back. Councilor Vasquez.
Yep, I was having some issues there. Yeah, I also just want to give my gratitude to Dr. Garcia. Coming on board on the council and getting on the Utilities Commission it's a steep learning curve to really understand just how a public-owned utility works and what all goes into maintaining it and delivering quality service. But Dr. Garcia is one of the most prepared people and prepares his staff so well, anticipates questions, and just does an excellent job of onboarding counselors. And I'm sure I was probably like the 20th or 30th, or I don't know how many counselors you've had to onboard, Dr. Garcia, but I want to thank you for that and for the wonderful tours, but more than anything for really showing me, and I'm sure others, what an enterprise fund looks like when it's run well, and how a city could run a utility, including natural gas, which not a lot of cities have. And so thank you. I also bid you farewell, and just want to remind you, Dr. Garcia, that you did create that Citizen Board of Utility Commissioners. And so I'm just saying it might be nice to someday see you as the chair on that in your retirement. So that might be a good way for you to come back.
Thank you.
Wow, he's already got your future planned out there for you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, if there's nothing further, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Bencomo.
Second, Abita-Stubbe.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Abita-Stubbe, that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, we're adjourned. It's 2:43 p.m. Okay, thank you very much.